Hi, Jonathan York, Bay Financial Partners, looking at the investment markets. Certainly been quite a reasonable start to 2014. Equity markets have traded pretty well with some notable up trades in certain shares. Certainly Wynyard's probably been a standout performer after some improved contracts coming through. So what does 2014 hold in store? Certainly looking at it, interest rates are going to move higher over 2014. We've got an improved economy, and certainly with the OCR at 2.5%, they are too low. It's just a question of how quickly they rise and by how much. Indications range between sort of 0.5% increase for this year all the way up to about 1.25%. So bearing in mind the OCR is currently 2.5%. You're looking for interest rates at the end of the year to be around sort of 3.25 to 3.5%. We've already started to see a little bit of movement there, and obviously the mortgage rates, they're normally a pretty reasonable indicator of how things are going to go. And certainly now people are starting to come out of their floating rates and moving on to a fixed rate. That's normally a reasonably surefire sign that interest rates are expected to rise over the next sort of 2 to 3 years. On the back of that, the currency has obviously traded pretty well. We're currently at an 8-year high versus the Australian dollar. Again, people are starting to talk about parity. That's still some way off. We're currently around sort of 93 cents at the moment. But it will just be interesting to see how it does sort of pan out. Certainly the Australian economy is a little bit weaker. But again, they've got some reasonable sort of events coming up over the next sort of couple of years, which potentially could be pretty interesting for their economy. Most notably the Commonwealth Games, which should see a reasonable sort of infrastructure build around the Brisbane area. With that high New Zealand dollar, maybe worthwhile looking at some of those Aussie shares. Obviously reasonable dividend yields coming through, but potentially over the next sort of 2 to 3 years as well. If you do see a little bit of a fallback in the currency, that could show some pretty enhanced returns. The US has all started positively. Again, equity markets are trading reasonably well. Economic data coming out is still showing a reasonably robust economy. And quite interestingly as well, the banks are reporting now pretty solid growth going forward in terms of their earnings. Again, that's normally a reasonably good sign that the economy is pushing along at sort of quite a reasonable rate. The Fed has started their sort of reduction in their tapering, and it'll just be interesting to see how that sort of pans out over the next sort of 12 to 18 months. In the marketplace, we've still got that Infratel bond out there, 6.75%. If you are interested in that, call us on 0800 867 323, and or go to the website www.bayfinancialpartners.co.nz, and we look forward to speaking to you soon.